Right. So, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, I believe this is episode 5. So, things are getting really good now. So, it starts off in wake of the disaster that is the arch fight. So, we see the arch with smoke billowing out of it, cops all around, and Annabeth is staring at the fates while Grover is talking about someone else staring at them, which is a couple of cops, and I'm not sure who that other guy was. So, but Annabeth is completely oblivious to what Grover is saying because she's just staring at the fates. And the reason she is one of them broke a thread, which means that someone is going to die. Which technically comes true in this episode. The gods are nothing if not loopholey. They love their technicalities. So technically, yeah, somebody died. So they decide they have to find Percy. So they go to the pier, and Percy just hops out of the water. And he just gives the short version that they have to go to Santa Monica, that his dad is going to help them. And I'm like, that's beyond the short version. That's not even the Reader's Digest version. That's not Cliff Notes. That's just, this is the summary. This is the conclusion. This isn't even a summary. In conclusion, let's just skip the whole summary. So, Annabeth just stares at him and just suddenly hugs him, which takes both Grover and Percy by surprise. They're like, wait, what? What's happening? Which I will note, Percy never hugged her back. Which, come on, Percy. I mean, I realize it's a shock because it's Annabeth, but come on. So, but then again, he is still 12. For all I know, he probably still thinks girls have cooties, so I don't know. So, they're like, okay, now how do we manage to get to Hades when we can't take a train, we can't take a bus, we can't take anything that requires a ticket? Because obviously then they'll be found out. So they start walking again. So as they're walking, Grover notices a car is coming, and Annabeth corrects him that it's a bike. So they're hiding behind barriers and just chatting about, what's happening. Percy had mentioned earlier that this has got to go way deep as to who stole the Master Bolt, and he realizes he's the last one to figure this out. So then he's talking about how he's taking this seriously because he never thought his dad would do something like save his life. So it's like, okay, his dad actually gives a crap about him. So he's going to take all of this seriously. And so Ares stops. We find out it's Ares. Ares stops his bike right there, asks the kids if they need any help, and they're like, no, we don't. Now, Percy obviously had no clue who he is. Annabeth, and Grover, I wonder when they discovered it. Did they know immediately that it was Ares when he stopped and they said, yeah, go away, we don't need your help? Or did it just dawn on them while he was, talking to them, and and insulting them immediately, like calling them idiots. It's like, dude, they're 12. Well, we find out Grover is older, but um so they decide, so Aries says, there's a diner up there. I'll help you out, and but I need you to do something for me. So they get to the diner, and of course he's the king of Twitter trolls. Of course he is. The man who loves to start a fight, of course he would be a Twitter troll. That makes so much sense. So he is getting annoyed with Annabeth because she's catching him on, like, okay, I need you to get my shield back from this amusement park. And she's questioning him, how did you lose your shield? Why did you leave it and all that? And he's getting annoyed because he doesn't want her questioning him. And that stems from what we find out is a deep-seated hatred for Athena. So he says, okay, you guys will get the shield for me, but to ensure that you do it, the satyr stays here. And Grove's like, okay. And at first, he's like, well, let me just walk my friends out. So I thought he was going to do some sort of switcheroo and run out with them or something. But no, he saw them up. He didn't say anything. But Annabeth is telling him, oh, don't let him get under your skin, this, that, and the other thing. And Grove's like, I won't. I know what I'm doing. And probably because of previous encounters with him, that they just didn't believe that Grover was, well, as clever as he proved to be this episode. But, yeah, they seemed surprised that he would want to split up. So, at first I thought, okay, he just, because of the Annabeth hug, he's like, yeah, let these two be alone for a while. And, no, he had his own plan. And his plan was to butter up Aries and in the process hope he slips up and he glean some information from him. Because he was so convinced their quest is gonna fail, and he just kept harping about it. So he got him, he basically was his therapist. It was weird. He was basically his therapist saying, oh, we met before. That's how we found out he's 24. When he said 24, I was expecting 2,400, 24,000. Because again, he's a satyr. So he doesn't have to age the same way as humans do, as mortals do. So I figured, okay, he's not just 24. So I believe he's the only one who is playing, well, obviously the gods, but of the three, he's the only one who's playing someone older than the actor. The actor is 17. So, which is unusual. Usually, especially at that age, they play characters younger than themselves, not older. But anyway, so he's talking to Aries, buttering him up, how, that he's an admirer of him. He's like, you're a satyr. Why would you admire me? Which, fair point. And Grover weaves this tale about how, well, in nature there's kill and be killed, and that's, warlike, so, that falls under his realm, and blah, 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 blah. So they start talking about, him catching the lightning thief, unlike Athena and his jealousy of Athena because she always seems to be so much smarter than Ares. And I'm just like, yeah, she's not only smarter than you, but apparently so is Grover. Because all you have to do is flatter him, and there he goes. And I just kept looking. He looks familiar. He looks familiar. I just looked it up. Adam Copeland, The Edge. And my question is, how come I know so many wrestlers without having watched a lick of wrestling? That just boggles my mind. But anyway, so he is chatting with him and trying to get information out of him. And I'm just like, ooh, what is he going to say? And of course, we didn't hear him admit anything interesting. But by the end, he admits to Percy and Annabeth that he got him to admit something. So, and that he's lying. Well, at least lying about some things. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, now I don't know if Ares wanted them to fail completely, or which one of the kids he wanted to kill. Have Hephaestus's mechanism kill. Did he want them to go after Annabeth? Because he seems to absolutely loathe Athena, and this would be a great way to get at her, even though she was kind of pissed at Annabeth for bringing the son of Poseidon into her temple. Or did he want to come after, or did he want to kill Percy because, well, he's supposed to be the lightning thief? Which is the name of the book, so I found it quite fun that they name dropped the title of the book in this conversation with Grover and Ares. So anyway, they go to the amusement park, and it looks like this creepy park that you would see in horror movies, just like Percy said. Annabeth has no idea what he's talking about because she's never seen a horror movie. And I'm like, how sheltered are you? Because never seen a horror movie? Do you not have TV? But maybe she never did. I mean, I don't know how old she was when she ran away from home. So, she wasn't probably at the age where she would have watched a horror movie. I mean, I don't know how old Percy was before he watched a horror movie. But anyway, Ares, like I said, kept telling them that their quest is going to fail. And he even got them to question what the oracle said. Oh, is that what the oracle said, or what Chiron claims that the oracle said? And he does say some truth. The Olympian gods are totally messed up. And yeah. Anybody who knows about anything about Greek mythology, yeah, it's a very, very messed up family. To say that it's what's the word? I can't think of it. But anyway, I don't care how messed up you think your family is, that the Olympians have nothing on you. Yeah. But anyway, so Percy starts pushing, and there's this mechanism that goes off that's supposed to go through you if you're a human, but it's supposed to kill you if you're a monster or a demigod. And then Annabeth figures out that it's just a test, that it's not actually going to hurt you. So she tells Percy to keep going. And Percy questions her. I just love their dynamic. I really do. So then she goes through the turnstile, and they're walking through this creepy amusement park. Annabeth tries to make a joke that Hephaestus probably made the amusement park because he wanted to be amused. Which it's a bad joke, but it's a groaner, but at the same time, it's chuckle worthy. So anyway. So they're going through, and they're talking about how the reason Ares lost his shield was because he was getting it on with Aphrodite. And he had to hightail it out of there when Hephaestus came because he saw them there. And so they're chatting, and suddenly they see this basically a tunnel of love light up. And so they're like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this. So they're going through this tunnel of love, and Percy is mentioning, basically Hephaestus' story lights up in the tunnel, and he is basically telling Annabeth Hephaestus' story, which is pretty accurate. He really was, treated like crap by pretty much everyone. So they're going through the tunnel until they start till they start going down, down, down. And at first I thought, oh, maybe this is the river Styx, and they're going to make it to Hades without Grover. But no, that was just part of the ride, and they find Ares' shield. But the mechanism is such that someone would have to sit down on that chair. And if someone were to do that, he told the story about how Hera sat on a chair and nobody could remove her until Hera agreed to let Hephaestus marry Aphrodite, which, I'm sorry, of course that's not going to be a happy marriage if you had to force somebody to marry you. That never ends well. So, Hephaestus is a very tragic figure in the sense that the way he's being kicked around by everyone, but especially Ares. But at the same time, so anyway, Percy decides he's going to sacrifice himself. And Annabeth doesn't want to. And he's like, but that's why you're here. And then he finally tells Annabeth what he told Chiron, that he wants Annabeth because she wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice him. And I'm just like, wait a minute. How big was this circle exactly? I mean, they weren't exactly whispering. How did you not hear this? But anyway. So Percy sits down. Before that, he wants her to promise him something. And she's like, I will make it out of Hades with your mom. And he's like, actually, yeah, that's great too, but I was hoping you'd circle around and get me out of here. And she's like, basically, well, duh. Why do you have to ask that? And so he sits down, and he said he was getting hot. So I thought that this had something to do with Hades. But no, it looks like a bunch of gears were basically turning him to gold. It's very interesting. And she's watching this and she's trying to get Percy at some point to get up. Surely she must have seen that it was overtaking him. I don't see why she thought he could get up. And so after that, the shield falls to the ground, and she immediately goes to try to figure out how to reverse the gears to release Percy. And so Hephaestus comes out, which I gotta admit, that's not how I expected Hephaestus to look. And he asks if he could help her, and she said she's not leaving without Percy. And he explains how he knows about the tiff with her mom, and that if she were to, present the shield to Ares, that it would give her back to the glory, and that her mom would accept her again. And she's like, yeah, I used to be like that, but he's not. And I don't want to be like that anymore either. So she appeals to his heart, which Hephaestus always had a good heart, despite forcing a woman to marry him, but that's a different story. For the most part, he's the nicest of the gods. And so he decides. Now, she looked down, so I thought maybe she figured something out, but no. Hephaestus reversed the mechanism, so Percy was able to get up. So they come back with the shield, and that shield is huge. I mean, it was half the size of Annabeth. So she throws the shield to Ares, and you could see the shock on Ares' face. That's why I'm wondering if he, A, didn't think that they were going to succeed, or B, he wanted one or both of them, either one of them to actually die. And it could have been either one at this point. So they're like, okay, we held up our end of the bargain. How do we get to Hades? So he sends them into a semi where the driver will go to the Lotus Casino where Hermes is, and that Hermes has a driver who could take them to Hades in minutes. Okay, fine. Obviously, next week we're going to the Lotus Casino and we're going to meet Hermes. Well, properly meet Hermes, because we already saw him once. And that's when they get into the semi. Grover wants towels because there's water in there. And Ares just closes the semi, and they mention how badly it smelled in there. And that Ares turned out to be a good guy. He kept up his end of the bargain, and, that he was telling the truth. And Grover's like, well, he wasn't telling the truth about everything. I think I know who the lightning thief is. And of course, that's where it ends. Because of course it is. So hopefully we find out next week. Hopefully this isn't one of those things where there's a time jump. I saw scenes from next week where Grover sticks his head out the little hatch on the top of the semi. So I'm thinking we'll find out what Grover has to say. But, so I don't know if he figured out that it's Ares or if it's somebody else. But Grover is showing to be very clever himself. Because but then again, this is Ares. He's not that bright. So, who knows? But, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week. And, I think that is all I have for this. Oh, yes. That's what I wanted to mention. One of the things Aries did was show news reports about Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, specifically Percy. And it's his stepfather, Gabe. And he's crying and saying how he always knew that Percy was a bad kid, and talking about his mom missing and the car, which he was getting most emotional about the damn car. But you could tell that he was really trying hard to cry. He was not being serious. He was just playing the part. And Percy is like, oh, come on. Now, whether that's true, I mean, it could easily be true, because we already know that Gabe is scum. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention this episode. Oh, yes. The one thing I like about this show is, and this has happened a few times now, with the Fates, with Electo, there was one more where, oh yes, with the Oracle and Percy, where maybe they, in the case of Electo and Percy and the Oracle, it took a while to get the truth out, but the truth did come out fairly quickly. It wasn't something that it was this big drama throughout the show. And now same thing with the Fates, and which, like I said, they were technically correct. Percy did die. Um but yeah, they don't let this keeping secrets happen. That there might be something that, like in this episode, Percy pointing out that Annabeth is being weird with him. And he thought it had something to do with the hug. But, and Annabeth came clean as to why she was acting the way she's acting. So I love that this show um, doesn't keep secrets for long. That it's drama because the adventure is dramatic enough. It's not because of let's keep secrets and make it seem like it's the end of the world if it's told or something. So I definitely like that about this show. This was definitely the best episode in my opinion so far. Granted, it's only 5 episodes, so there's not a lot to choose from, but definitely, in my opinion, best episode. And with that, I will see you guys in the next episode.